Well, today is the 17th, and there is a big deadline for today in the Ripple versus the SEC case. So I'm going to tell you what is due today, but more importantly, that could suggest that XRP is not an investment contract, and the rest of us in the public are actually going to get to see it. I'm going to talk about it in this video, because if that's true, it effectively ends the SEC's case. But wait, I have to throw some cold water on it. And just when the news continues to get better, I've been watching liquidation cascades on the Bitcoin price chart as it continues to fall back to the $40,000 level. So if you're wondering what is happening to your favorite altcoin, well, just blame Bitcoin. And so as we watch the price of XRP, and as this case nears the end of discovery, which is the end of February, and we potentially head into trial, these documents are becoming more and more important. So let's get into it. Hey everyone, my name is Randy. Welcome back to the Late Night Grind. Right now on this channel, we are covering the Ripple versus the SEC case, as well as other cryptocurrency news, investment markets, and personal finance. So if any or all these topics interest you, make sure you hit the subscribe button, join the Late Night Grind community, and also hit that bell notification icon so that YouTube will send you a notification when I release a new video. And if you're feeling generous, I'd appreciate it if you do two things. Hit the thumbs up button and watch this video all the way to the end. Those are the two best things that you can do to support a YouTube channel. No need for a GoFundMe or a Give, Send, Go. Just do those two things. All right, guys, let's jump into it. So earlier, I was watching the Bitcoin price continue to tumble from about 44,000 down to about 40,000, typically because of liquidation cascades that have been happening throughout the day. I'm not sure exactly what news has been causing it, but nonetheless, there have been hundreds of millions of dollars of Bitcoin liquidated today. So nonetheless, the price of XRP followed suit, just like it always does, and just like it will do until this case versus the SEC is actually resolved. So if you've been watching the price of Bitcoin throughout the day, that's what it's been doing. And if to make matters worse, you're also on Twitter, you might follow one Peter Schiff, who thinks Bitcoin's going to zero, has pointed out a very small time frame in which Bitcoin has dropped in price and gold has actually appreciated in price. One of the very few times over the past 10 years that that's actually happened. So let him have his day. All right, so let's talk about the Ripple versus the SEC, because today is a big day. Today's the 17th or the 18th, depending on when you're watching this video. This is a big day. Along with another big date is the 24th. So what's going on? Well, the 17th. This is the day in which the documents that Ripple had submitted originally to fight the SEC's original complaint to say that their amended complaint should actually be struck down, why they have fair notice defense, etc., etc. These documents, Ripple wanted sealed. They didn't want the public to see them, but nonetheless, they still submitted them. Today's the date the judge said, nope, those documents have to be unsealed. So from what I've seen on Twitter, some of those documents have already been leaked out, but I believe there's a bunch more that have to go through some redactions before they're actually made public. In fact, James Filan and Jeremy Hogan both said they would probably not suspect those documents coming out until later in the night, possibly early tomorrow morning on the 18th by the time they actually come out. So that is going to be circulating around on Twitter tomorrow. So if you want to follow what some of those documents say, as soon as I see them, I'm definitely going to be retweeting them. So I'll put a link in the description to my Twitter profile. You can make sure to go follow me there, as well as you can continue to follow Jeremy Hogan and James Filan. Those two are very much on top of this case and all the documentation thereof. So it's going to be really interesting to see what the original documents that Ripple was sending to this case to fight the SEC actually were. But here is the bigger date. It's February 24th, and that's coming up very, very quickly. Now, on this date, the judge had originally said that the SEC has to send what they call the Easterbrook notes, which was a series of notes taken from a meeting of the CEO of Ripple, Brad Garlinghouse, and who was at the time the commissioner of the SEC. Well, the SEC actually said, we have these notes, but they're hidden under privilege, which means we can't show them to the public or to Ripple. And the judge said, well, hang on, you're going to have to submit them for an in-camera review or an in-private review, which means the judge is actually going to have to get to see these notes to see if what Brad Garlinghouse was saying about these notes was actually correct, in which there's really no clarity. There's a ton of confusion about what XRP is or isn't to the rest of the market, which that would severely put a dampening on the SEC's case. So nonetheless, we're going to get to see that, and that comes out on the 24th. But there is another set of documents in which Ripple had originally received legal guidance back in 2012 that supposedly says XRP is not a security and that Ripple is in the clear. So Fox Business Eleanor Tourette actually tweeted this out several hours ago, in which Ripple's legal counsel, one of their head attorneys, Stuart Alderati, actually went on and told Fox Business what these documents actually say. So here's what he says. He says, once released, these documents show that in 2012, Ripple received a legal analysis that XRP was not an investment contract. The fact that it had taken the SEC 8 years to suggest that they disagree with that analysis while XRP traded to a massive global market is baffling. We look forward to the public having access to these documents, which we will, as we continue to vigorously defend this case. Now, she actually tweeted out this afternoon, and that sounds amazing, because if that is the case, I mean, that almost effectively ends the SEC's case right then and there. So one of the things that I'm interested in seeing is A, who actually gave that legal analysis, and how did they come to that conclusion? Because on the surface, that sounds amazing. It sounds like Ripple's going to win this case, hands down. But our favorite attorney, Jeremy Hogan, who is an outside attorney covering this case, he had to throw a little bit of cold water on it, and I don't blame him. Somebody on Twitter actually responded to Eleanor Tourette's tweet and basically said, hang on, there's really no legal opinion memo that's going to totally put somebody 100% in the clear. In other words, it's not going to say that XRP is definitely not a security. And Jeremy Hogan followed up with that and said, no, you are spot on. And Hogan agreed that no legal opinion memo would actually give clarity in one direction or the other. He believes that if it was a true legal analysis memo, that it probably showed both sides of the story, as well as it probably showed some of the possible dangers, especially dealing with the SEC. Hogan was replying to another person on Twitter who basically said, listen, you're dealing with the SEC. This is one of the shadiest organizations on the face of the planet. I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically what it said. So those documents are going to become publicly viewable. So you and I will get to see exactly what those legal memos actually said. Is it going to be what Stuart Alderati says and basically give clarity to XRP and that it wasn't an investment contract and therefore it's not a security? Or are the waters going to be a little more muddy than that? Can't wait to find out. So like I said, if you want to follow along with this story, you're definitely going to want to follow me on Twitter. I will definitely be retweeting all that information as it becomes available. James K. Filan, Jeremy Hogan are very much on top of things in terms of the documentation, as well as you can always subscribe to the Late Night Grind community. And so I would like your guys' thoughts. Let me know in the comment section down below or on Twitter what exactly you think this legal memo actually says. And my guess, it's probably some of both sides. It probably mentions the fact that at the very least, there is not clarity as to what XRP actually is, even if it doesn't say that XRP is not an investment contract, or even if it comes to the conclusion that it's not an investment contract. I'm sure it has to play both sides and weigh both sides, pros and cons, if it is or isn't. But nonetheless, it still plays right into Ripple's hands, because if it's having any kind of confusion whatsoever, that plays directly into Ripple's fair notice defense. In other words, there was no clarity. So if you're kind of getting bored of seeing XRP and Bitcoin's price drop, maybe make a suggestion and go on and check out Sologenic's NFT marketplace. It's growing by the day. I find it very fascinating. I've bought a couple NFTs myself. And according to the comment section from what I asked in one of my previous videos, you guys would be interested in some late night grind NFT, either pieces of art or possibly something else that I'm working on in the back end. That would be a very cool project in which the NFT would, of course, be a piece of art, but it would also be a ticket to something else. So I'm going to have more details on that later on. So I'm excited to talk about that. All the details have not been worked out yet, but there's some ideas that I have in mind for NFTs more than just a pretty work of art. So if you want to follow along, like I said, all you got to do is subscribe to the Late Night Grind community. Follow me on Twitter and you'll be up to date. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching all the way to the end of the video, for giving it a big thumbs up. And as always, see you guys on the next video.